Amazing. Hello, everybody. I'm Ben, co-founder and CTO of Synapse. Previously did my PhD under Rich, who's also co-founder of Synapse. There's a few other members of Synapse there if you have any more questions. Usually I'd kind of explain a little bit about Synapse, but I thought it'd be best to just show what we do, show some videos that also explains a bit about Synapse. So let me show this BSL video. Great, cool. So I feel like a lot of what we've heard today has been kind of on the research side, great kind of improvements, getting some great accuracies. But I feel like the thing that's been missing is really, have you shown translations to real people? Do they understand them? So today I'm kind of taking a slightly different route, very much from an industry side, more of a product side rather than the research. So maybe what I talk about is a bit more simple, but really all we're trying to do here is make translations that are understandable to deaf people. Thought it'd be also fun to show another one. Created this yesterday, kind of very specific around BMVA, so fun to show that we have an ability to translate any English sentence into BSL. So let me show this. Amazing. Sorry, I generated that yesterday. No human involvement in that. A fully AI process. So before it would be cool to show. And again, I thought I'd show another one. Why not? I thought I'd give the contents that I'm going to talk about as well. I feel like a lot of people at the moment in the deaf community kind of talk about AI, and I feel like one of the things that needs to change is kind of showing AI a little bit, which is why I'm really here to try to show as many translations as possible. Cool. So now I'm going to kind of do the bit of a technical side of it and explain a little bit about how we do our translations from text to sign language. And like I said about earlier, it's maybe slightly less technical than a lot of the research stuff that's happened here. Maybe it's a bit more simple, but it really works really well. So let me kind of break it down into 2 steps. So what we're trying to do here is translate from an English sentence into a sign language video. We do it in 2 steps. Our first step uses this thing called gloss, which a lot of people have referred to today, kind of that written form of sign language. We know gloss isn't perfect. There's a lot of limitations there, but in order to use a lot of the NMT techniques that are out there in the community, having a written form of a language is really, really, really helpful. So we kind of, even though it's a limitation, we found that it works well enough for kind of what we're trying to do. So within Synapse, we've collected a large data set of paired English and gloss sentences. This has been created by our team of deaf BSL translators, either from kind of synthetic data or real translations for clients, all of them that have been kind of quality checked. Kind of the example that I've got there at the bottom is the English, what is your name, translated into the sign language gloss of name, you, what. And so it's kind of listing out those glosses in order, in exactly the same BSL order, how you would sign them. So name, you, what. So we've collected a large data set of these sentences. Again, English translation, the gloss form of that translation. We then use these to fine-tune a large language model, and kind of like teach it a bit about BSL grammar, syntax, from these examples, some of which from real client translations, some of which kind of from synthetic data that we've created ourselves. And I feel like I'm kind of talking about this as quite a simple process. There's been a lot of work behind the scenes here to kind of make sure those glosses are as kind of representative of sign language as possible. So it's not just what sign is it, as in the English word for it. There's a lot of work that goes behind here that talks about the correct variant of that sign. There's many different ways of signing that gloss, depending on the context of the sentence. So learning the variant of the sign, things like directional verbs in BSL, but also not always every sign has to be mouthed. Maybe you've done a non-manual feature sign. There's a lot of work behind the scenes there that's been kind of created by our dev team internally to kind of make that as representative as possible for sign language. So now we've taken that example at the bottom. We've got the gloss name you what. What do we do next? Next step, gloss to video. So we're actually generating the final BSL video from that gloss. We have recorded an isolated example of each of these glosses. We use the University of Surrey high quality capture studio, where I think there's around 27 cameras or something like that. There's a lot there that kind of captures them. All of these signs have been recorded by our head of translation, a deaf lady called Rachel. She is a qualified deaf translator, made sure that all of these glosses are recorded high quality, but also in the correct context with the correct kind of labels associated with them. Every one of these kind of glosses, we then manually trim, prepare it, also make sure that we can have a consistent appearance over many different recordings. We've been recording glosses for almost 2 years now. Rachel recently had a baby. She was a very different appearance now than she was 2 years ago. So it was a big challenge for us of all of those individual signs, making them look like the exact same appearance of Rachel. So here are some examples for that sentence, name you what. So you can see they're the really short signs that we've used there. In order for us to then turn this into an actual BSL sequence, the real challenge has been around blending between these glosses. So gloss name, you finish up here, but then you start down there. Kind of what do you do in the middle there? Instead of just sticking them together, how do you actually make that nice? We track the body movements of those glosses, so the hand movements, the facial movements, the body movements, and we interpolate in the pose space between the end of one gloss to the start of the next gloss. And we use our AI video generation technology to kind of generate a new blending from one gloss to the next gloss. I've kind of got a fun video here which shows a little bit what we do with that pose representation and how we generate the output sign language video. Let me just pause that for a second. So what you're seeing here on the right, or on the left for you, on the left you'll see the pose representation, what we're tracking of the body, and then on the right is the AI generated image. You can see that it follows the hand movements accurately. You can really understand the hands from it. One thing that we found within the research space is if you're directly generating this pose information, these hand informations, often that hand kind of turns out to be not very understandable. Whereas actually just using an original recording of somebody is just much more accurate. It's the only way we've found to actually get understandable hand shapes. So then for the final video for this translation, we take those glosses, we blend between them to generate that full sentence. So that's kind of the full translation step, end to end, where we can have this text. You can now type in any English sentence and it can be translated into gloss and then generated the final BSL video at the end. And again, kind of a lot of what's been talked about today is evaluation. Often they get evaluated on these data sets that we have. I remember Phoenix very, very much from my PhD, a fun thing to work with, but a lot of it kind of comes out to accuracy scores. We find that that can be really hard to evaluate these type of techniques, the generation. So the best way we find is just to ask real deaf people, show them the translations and ask them, are they understandable? So we have a evaluation happening at the moment where we're trying to share it to as many people in the deaf community as possible. There's a QR link there at the bottom if anybody here is a BSL user and would love to try it out. what we've got is 15 sentences that have been translated through the AI automatically. And the questions we ask are, is this understandable? Is it really understandable? Is it slightly? Is it not sure? And here's some examples of those translations. And so far, we've had some really good respondents. Everybody who's responded so far has been a native BSL user. We found that 81% of people have found the translations to be either fully or partially understood. So that's sentence by sentence. 14% of them were unsure, and about 4% were kind of partially understand them. We were quite surprised by this, actually. This was really good. I feel like a lot of people talk about AI and deaf community quite negatively, but actually just getting to the point where we show translations, are they understandable? We know they're never going to be as perfect as a real BSL interpreter, BSL translator, the emotion in sign language they don't have at the moment. There's a lot that's missing, but ultimately we're trying to do this to make a piece of content understandable. And so purely asking, is this understandable or not, has been a really good metric that we found. So we're really proud of it. So I've talked here about kind of our translation technology, how we do it. We are a commercial company, so we do have products as well, and kind of how we use these translations. We have two ways of clients using this. One called SignStream, which is an API endpoint where you can translate any English sentence into a BSL video automatically in about 10 seconds. I was going to do a live demo, but I don't think I really have time, so I'm not going to right now. And then we also have what we call Sign Studio, which is a slightly slower process, a more high quality process, mainly translating full videos. So we take in a full video from a client, we translate them using AI with humans in the loop to check those translations, with a kind of 3-day turnaround to make sure that they are fully understandable, and then providing them back to clients. So it's been a lot of fun kind of working out the best way of using this translation for clients. And so I wanted to end by showing one of these videos that we've recently translated for a client. And just to confirm, this has had humans in the loop check these glosses as they go through.
At Avanti West Coast, we're here to make your journey seamless with our travel companion. Our travel companion is a WhatsApp chat staffed by specialist members of the Avanti West Coast team, who are here to help with your accessibility needs. The travel companion WhatsApp chat aims to improve journeys when the unexpected happens, giving disabled customers the opportunity to chat to a real person in real time and get the support you're looking for. To use the travel companion, all you need to do is message 07980 03703.
Great, you get the idea. So yeah, one outcome of this, I'd love for any of you to try SignStream. It's a free tool where you can go and sign up, add some text in, translate it in about 10 to 15 seconds, see feedback there. If you kind of don't think the translation was very good or the way to improve it, please, that's the best way to kind of to show us. And yeah, I'd love to answer any questions. If you have any more questions, feel free to email me or I'll be around afterwards. That's fine.
Yeah. I'm afraid to catch the schedule. I would suggest skip questions here and contact them directly. Our next presenter is